Hello, it's Duncan. IntelliJ has many refactorings built in, but we can't really add our own. I've waited 8 years for extension function to method, and I'm still waiting. Other transformations, such as converting mutable to mutable data, require multiple steps. AI agents are able to plan how to achieve a goal, execute that plan, and adapt when things go wrong. That also describes the process I follow when I'm refactoring code. So we might expect Juni, JetBrains' agent, to be good at refactoring. And my goodness, it is.
When the AI takes over the world, I hope it remembers that I cut it a bit of slack. Now that our workshop at Kotlin Conf in May is sold out, Nat Price and I figured that we'd probably better get on and design some content. Now, we promised that we would take a web application and introduce techniques to gradually and safely migrate the code to the functional style, and Nat has been hard at work writing that application to give us something to play with. Here it is. It implements an auction server, and auctions have bids. There is one. And you can see here that this is a class and has properties of bidder, amount, and ID, and they're all vars, so they're all mutable. Now, unless we have a jolly good reason we don't like mutable things, so we might just say, let's make these into vals. So we'll just change them by hand. And if we did, of course, then this logically could become a data class. Let's see if that builds. And it doesn't. And the only reason seems to be that here we assign to the ID and a bid. Why is that? Okay, this is JDBC auction repository. It looks like we're giving the database a bid. We're inserting into a bid table, but the database is generating an ID for that bid, and we are setting that back into the bid that we've been given in order to return it. I think this is a little bit naughty that we're mutating the bid we've been given and returning it. It's almost like this is an exercise in a workshop, but we can make our bid immutable by creating a new one in here. So instead of updating the bid here, what we'll do is we will return a new bid with the bidder, the bid amount, and the new ID. And then we don't need to set that. And let's run the test and see whether that builds. Oh, there's another place here. So what are we doing in here? We are taking our bid and we're setting a new ID into it. So in fact, we can do the same sort of thing. And in fact, here I think we could just say bid.copy with the ID equals the ID that we have there. Try building again. And here we have the in-memory auction repository that seems to be doing the same thing. You know, this is a bit tedious and maybe error-prone, and computers are supposed to save us from tedium and errors. So I think instead I'm going to back this change out. Check that the tests run. Well, if those are the fast tests, I don't want to see the slow ones. But this time, instead of refactoring ourselves, let's ask Juni to do it for us. So let's go back to the code, we'll look at bid, we'll close that and bring up Juni. Right then, I'm going to say make bid into an immutable data class. Let's see what we get. Okay, so it's made a plan. It's going to review the bid class, it's going to convert it to a data class with immutable properties, run all the tests, fix anything, and submit the changes. So it's found 14 instances, and it's made it into a data class. Well, that was easy, but now it's running some tests, and it's discovering that things basically don't compile. The subsequent test run failed due to compilation error related to reassigning properties. As a result, the build could not be completed. It's doing some looking, and here you can see it's returning bid copy ID equals new ID. Running tests, oh, still some not building. Here's another one. Will it fix it? Val cannot be reassigned. Well, it appears to have edited in-memory auction repository. Let's have a look at that. Here again, we've got new bid, and then we're adding the new bid into the bids. That's good. Oh, this one's now been updated here by copying the bid. It seems to be running individual tests, ones that I guess it thinks might have broken. But let us now run all of our fast tests just to check. Good, and let's see what it's done. So the model is changed bid to a data class with vals rather than vars. It's left the toString. I think that might be removable, but ho-hum. Here, instead of updating the ID, it's created a copy with the new ID and returned that. That was what we were going to do by hand. It's done the same thing in our in-memory repository, and it's done the same thing in memory bid queries, whatever that is. Splendid. I wonder if I can say commit that with a suitable message. It says it's done. All tests passed without errors. The changes have been committed with a suitable message. Have they though? Let's try commit to git, please. Maybe the please is the thing. Juni completed the task. Well, not really. Okay, let's ask AI Assistant for a message. It says refactor bid to immutable data class and adjust usage. La la la. Jolly good. Let's commit that. Okay then, back in model.kt, here's monetary amount. It's a wrapper on a big decimal that allows equals to work well for money. There's an issue where two big decimals don't compare equal. Now for some reason Nat seems allergic to good old-fashioned methods. So he's made operator plus and minus and times etc. into extension functions on monetary amount rather than methods. We can and do argue about which is better, but this is supposed to be a representative object-oriented codebase, so I think with that constraint these should be methods. So all we have to do is refactor and convert them to methods, except that that doesn't appear to be a thing. So we could do it by hand or we could ask Juni. Let's say we're done with that one. And now we'll say convert the operator extension functions on monetary amount to methods. It will come up with a plan. It's found what it needs to do. It's going to move minus and times. Don't know about the other ones. We'll find out. It can't do this int times because that's an extension on int. It's found there aren't any specific tests. It's run some tests, the auction settlement rounding tests. I guess they provide some coverage. Oh, and there we go. They get moved in. Operator fund plus. It's rerunning the tests. And some fuzz tests. That's interesting. Some controller tests. I think on the whole it might be quicker to run all the tests rather than individual ones. But there we go. And it thinks it's done. Let's run the tests ourselves. And indeed it has. While we're here, Nat seems to be allergic to just plain constructors as well. Let's see whether Juni can fix that. We'll say convert the top level monetary amount functions to constructors in monetary amount. Before I do, let's just review the steps we'd have to take. We'd copy this. We would move it into here. Say, we get rid of that and call this constructor that takes a representation as a string, and then we can't say equals, which is a bit tedious. We have to say colon this like that. What's our issue now? And that then clashes with this, which was kind of the point. Any code that was calling this one will now be calling this one, at least at the source level. Let's undo that and see whether Juni will do it for us. At the moment, my biggest problem with Juni is working out what to do while it's thinking. There we go. Well, it had a plan. It seems to have already done the job. It's created two constructors, running a bunch of tests, and it thinks it's done. Let's have a look. Well, there we are. A couple of blank spaces to get rid of. We have int times that couldn't be moved, but our operators have moved in, and our constructors are now constructors. What does AI Assistant think happened? Refactor monetary amount and clean up redunction code, added additional constructors and moved operator functions into the monetary amount class for better cohesion. Formatting la 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 la. Let's commit. Oh, and we should run the tests. One of the downsides of Juni integration with IntelliJ is that the last test it ran is this money test. So if I just press Ctrl R, I'll get its last test, not the one I actually want to run, which is this one. I haven't yet found a way to persuade it to run a particular run configuration when it does these refactorings. I did try in the Juni guidelines to say, Juni, when you're refactoring, run all the tests in the project, not just those that you think are affected by a change, but that seems to have had no effect. Okay, one more for luck. This is the lowest unique bid auction. It's a subtype of a sort of general auction that has this algorithm for deciding who, if any, is the auction winner. And you can see here it goes through whatever the bids is, looking for all of the ones with the ID of the auction, and it's then building a counter of how many of those are unique. That's this bid count here. It's either none, one, or too many. And then we're finding the lowest unique bid by doing something. That's all a bit complicated, so let's ask Juni to refactor lowest unique bid. It would be nice maybe if I could point to this and say something with Juni rather than typing it, but I'll do it anyway. Auction.decide winner to be more functional and understandable. Let's see what happens. Build a plan. Explore the complete implementation and related tests. It's having a look at model.kt. It's apparently looked at the acceptance tests. That's good. Some changes have happened but don't appear to compile. Now, well, it's fixed that. It's running some tests, I think. Oh, there we go. It feels to me like it's running sort of random tests. As I think I said before, it would be better if it took my advice. But I suppose I could be making a coffee or having a sword fight on swivel chairs. Well, it ran lots of tests. Let's try the one that I actually care about. And they pass. Now, I happen to know that Nat was very concerned about the efficiency of this method, hence this comment here. And this comment has been rewritten to say process bids as a sequence to maintain memory efficiency. But Nat assures me that this group by here will pull all the bids into memory at once, which is a problem if there are lots of them. But hey, it passes the test, so in this instance, I don't think I want to be the one to cast the first stone. When the AI takes over the world, I hope it remembers that I cut it a bit of slack. It's Nat you want. Go after him. I haven't yet tried asking Juni to do wider range refactorings, the sort of things where we propagate a type change down through several layers, that sort of thing. When I do, I'll report back here, so now would be a good time to subscribe to the channel. Like this video, as the AI is watching you and has a bigger ego even than I do. And finally, did you know that Nat and I wrote a book for O'Reilly? If you don't have a copy already, it looks like you could get a second-hand one for £13.93. Who on earth would sell one? Thanks for watching.